Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Saurabh Chhabra. Uh, I would be talking about load balancer solutions today. I was doing a POC. I just wanted to share a few things to you guys. If you like this video, just like, share, and comment, and do subscribe to my YouTube channel. So let's just get started. So what I am showing you guys today is that I would be showing you different load balancing solution practical, and would be just showing you how things are different with every different load balancer, right? So your application is sitting behind a load balancer in Azure. So each load balancer has its own, features, and why do we need to use them, right? So what I've done is, let me just show you. So these are my few load balancers. So there's an application gateway as well, and then I would be discussing about a front door as well, and I would be telling you what is the difference between a normal load balancer and an application gateway, and then why do we use a front door, right? So let's just get started. Okay, so what I've done is I've created two VMs. Okay, so these are the two VMs inside VNet CI Spoke zero 01, right? So it has their own private IP. And these VMs have IS installed in it. They have a few web pages. Let me just show you what kind of web pages they have. So let me close all of these. Okay, so I am inside VM 1.1, okay, 1.4, okay. So this is for videos. Let's just consider 1.4 for videos and 1.5 for images, okay, as of now. Okay, so let's just do, okay. So if I go into C drive and then inetpub and www root, so I've created few web pages, right? So one web page is that the default one, which is, whenever anybody is trying to hit this server, it will go to it'll get this page which is 10.1.1.4 and then videos in it, right? But I have created videos folder as well as an image folder as well. With image folder, what I have done is whenever someone writes the IP address and then tries to go slash images, it'll get an error message, right? So that we know that this is a videos server and it should not be going into images, right? You should not be writing images here. What I've done here is in videos folder, but when you type videos, you will again go to videos. If you type, and inside that I have another folder called Pariche, and then when I click on it, it says videos and then slash Pariche, right? So this is my scenario in case of videos server. And similarly, I have an image server. Image server will have the same things, but it's for images. So by default, whenever I'm hitting the web page, it'll say image, which says 1.5 image, right? And then when I go into images, it'll again give me images. And then in this, I have created a folder called Dave. So if I go into image and then type in Dave, then I would be getting this image, this page, which would be the server IP, the images folder, and then Dave folder, right? And then if someone is, you know, trying to go into this IP, which is 1.5, and then it's trying to open videos folder, this is what he'll get. He'll get an error message because, as I said, 1.5 is for image, 1.4 is for videos. So it should not be coming here, right? So I have created this kind of a just to show that, there are error pages which you can by default route, right? So let's go into the scenarios now. Go back to the load balancing piece. So these two VMs are behind actually all three load balancers. Just wanted to show you each and everything. So I have two load balancer. One is a private load balancer and one is a public load balancer. This is a private load balancer. Let me just show you the configuration. So the configuration is like in the backend pool, I have those two VMs in it, right? 1.4 and 1.5. 1.4 is videos, 1.5 is image, right? And the front end IP of this load balancer is 10.1.1.10. I would not be able to access this because it's a private IP, but I would be able to access this from my different server, which already have a peering in it. It is a hub server, right? So remember, I'll just show you same thing again. So these are the two VMs which are part of a spoke VNet, okay? And this VM is a hub VM. So I am going into this VM, logging into this VM, and trying to connect to the private IP of the load balancer. Okay, so let me just go there and open it. So I am into the hub VM and I have just type in the load balancer IP, the private IP, and it would be random, right? Sometime it will go to videos, sometime it will not go to videos. Let me see if I open the private video where it will go. So this time it will go to images, right? So sometime it is going to videos and sometime it is going to images. The issue here is that, why I mentioned in 5, I specifically mentioned that don't go to videos, right? So if I type in videos here and press enter, it is going to a different web page, which I've specifically mentioned and don't come here. So it is going to the same server. Within same server, it is trying to reach videos. This is not expected, right? If I type videos, it should go to the video server. That can't be done with the normal load balancer. This is what I wanted to prove in this video, that what are the scenarios where we would use different load balancers, right? So this is the specific scenario where you want to redirect to a different load balancers, right? To a different capability. So let me just go back and try to use application gateway this time. So this is an application gateway. It has front end and back end IP, and I have configured it. Though you can configure the same thing in a normal load balancer as well, but what I wanted to show this is that you can make things happen in application gateway, and how I've done it. It all depends upon the rules. So let me just open a new pane for you guys. And just wanted to show you that why do we, and what exactly we are doing, right? So every time a user, consider this as a user, so when we are configuring a load balancer, a user would be hitting either a public IP or it would be hitting a private IP. That public or private IP would be connected to a load balancer, right? It can be an application gateway, it can be a front door, it can be a normal load balancer, external load balancer, whatever it is. But the basic component of things would be remaining the same, right? So just wanted to mention here that these are the users. It would be hitting a load balancing solution. And this would be the public IP, right? So let me just highlight the public IP in such a way that this would be the public IP. Or private IP, right? It can be anything, public or private IP, depending what you have configured, right? So this would be a public IP, a private IP, and behind that load balancer would be sitting your VMs, right? So it can be within subnet, it can be out of the subnet. So it depends. It has to be in the same VNets, right? So it can be one, two, three, whatever, right? So in the background, it would be the VMs, right? So your VMs would be from the load balancer to, so the rule set would be directing your traffic from your load balancer to the underlying VMs. So this can be VM1, VM2, VM3, whatever, right? So what happens is, what we do configure is, we do three things in each and every scenario, whatever load balancer it is. One is the front end IP. So you call it front end IP in all the load balancer. Second is the backend pool, right? So backend pool is here. Sometimes we create endpoints, sometimes we say targets, we say backend settings. So whatever we call it in different load balancer, the main thing remains the same. You do three things. One is you create a front end IP, attach it to a load balancer, you have your backend pools, and how to reach that backend pools are what we call rule set. It is called rule set in front door. It is called load balancing rules in load balancer. It's called again load balancing rules in application gateway also. So whatever it is, but the underlying thing remains the same. That what we are doing is we have a private IP which is attached to a load balancer. We have backend endpoints. It can be a VM. It can be storage account, databases. It can be a web app in case of front door, it can be anything, right? So backend, and then there are rules to redirect your traffic from your front end to the backend. So this is same for each and every load balancer. Why I'm telling you this is the configuration part of the rules define how do you redirect the traffic. And the capability of the load balancer defines that how you would be moving your traffic from the front end to the back end, right? So what I've done is I have two VMs in my scenario. It's connected to a private load balancer. I've shown you that. I have a public load balancer doing the same thing. What I'll do now is I'll show you the application gateway. This is the application gateway. And let me just go back to the rules and I'll just show you. So what I've done is I've created two rules, one for private and one for public. For private rule, I have a private listener attached to it, right? And the backend targets. So here is where I have configured the path-based routing, right? Where whenever it is when a user is trying to hit the URL, it'll be random, right? So BP1 is random. BP image is a backend pool for image server, and BP video is a backend pool for the video server. Okay, and so every time a user will type in a URL, it will be redirected randomly, just like the same thing had happened in a normal load balancer. What I did is the path-based routing. When I do a path-based routing, if you see here, I have put in slash images slash star, and then I have selected the backend target as BP images, which is nothing but a backend pool for image server. Okay, let me just show you backend pools. So these are the backend pools. If you see this, when I'm saying BP01, it is giving me two targets, which is nothing but my VM1 and VM2, 1.4 and 1.5. And if I talk about BP image, it would be 1.4, sorry, 1.5, right? And if I talk about BP video, that would be again 1.4. So and this is where we would put in the rules, right? So I went in the rules again. I was showing you the private rule, and I was in the backend targets. Yeah. So when I go into the images, I select slash image slash star. So whenever anyone type in the URL and then the slash images, it should redirect the traffic to the image server, and it should not be going into the video server. So this is what I wanted to show you guys. Let me just go back. This is the configuration part that we did in application gateway. And so this application gateway can be reached with an IP address, or I have configured the full FDQN with this. So if you want, we can go here and type in the full name here. So this is and this is public, right? So I showed you the private part of it, but we already have a public as well. So I am into my laptop only. So let's see if this is working. And this time, let's see if it is working or not. So yeah, it it is going randomly to image. Okay, let me open a incognito mode or in private mode, and let's see if I go into videos this time. Yep. So if you could see, this is the same behavior we saw in a normal private or a normal public load balancer. But this time, what I'll do is the configuration that I did was images, right? So if I go into images, it will go to the image. But In the same way, if I type in videos, this time, see, let me just go back. It has already gone to 1.5, right? The last time I was in 1.5 and I typed videos, it gave me an error page, but this time it should not. Let me just type and enter. Let's see. Yep, it is giving me a bad gateway. So let me just go back and see it in here, right? So let me go here and type in this. And let's see. Here also it's giving me the same error. Videos and then type and enter. Yep. Let's see what happens. Yep. It's giving me same. Let me go and see in with the public IP. Let's see what happens. Let me open with the public IP and see what's happening. Sometimes the DNS gives an issue. Spelling mistake, guys. Let me go back and this time type in correctly. Videos. Yep. So if you see, when I type in videos, I should be redirecting to videos, right? If I type images, it should redirect me to image, right? So this is how I have configured application gateway for my incoming traffic, right? So application gateway has its own capabilities, right? It has SSL termination, SSL offload, as well as end-to-end encryption. Also, it's an advantage of using WAF, right? So we can have standard v2, we can have WAF v2, whatever, right? So WAF gives us an extra capability of having a firewall at the application layer at the pub if your application is public facing, right? You don't get that option in a normal load balancer. So let me show you what I have in front door. Okay. So what my scenario was, I had this scenario where, I just wanted to show you why do we, first of all, I just wanted to mention you why do we use front door, right? We use a front door whenever our application is a global application, right? When our application is a global application, that means the users in Japan and there are users in Australia, there are users in US, there are users in Europe, wherever. So we have our global presence, right? And we have multiple servers in each locations where the closest to the end users, right? So if we have our footprint in 5 different countries, right, and we know that apart from 5 countries, not many users are accessing our website, so we can place our VMs specifically closest to the users, right? But how to redirect the traffic to the closest servers? So for that, we have front door in Azure. So what front door does is we have servers in US, we have same application servers in Japan, we have the same application servers in Australia and whatever, right? So how the traffic would go is there would be a load balancer in front of that. That would be a regional load balancer. And when I say regional load balancer, it can be an application gateway or a normal load balancer. But in this case, we would be having an application gateway because it gives us more capability, right? But my scenario is if my website is public facing and there are multiple users who would be across multiple geographic locations, so how they will access the website. So what I'll do is I'll place another load balancer in between this, okay? And my users would be accessing the website from the front door, and front door would be using different application gateways. So this is one scenario, right? uh, let me give you another scenario. Let me create a new one so that it would be easier. So there would be multiple users, right? So one user is from US, one user is from Japan, one user is from Australia, one user is from Europe, right? They would be using a same IP, which would be the IP for the front door, right? So all of them would be going into the front door IP. They would be using a public IP, and this would have the URL of the application, right? Behind this front door, it will, what front door does is it has a local presence to the edge location, right? For every region, it has a edge location and it has a footprint in the background, right? So it does not show us on which how the front door is configured. It's a global service. It's a managed global service. You just have to configure it and redirecting the traffic. You just have to put in the rules, right? So what it does, so in my scenario, what I have done in most of the scenarios in different companies also for many applications. So what we usually do is we put in the front door in front, and then we have different application gateway, and these application gateway are regional. Okay, so if a user is in US and he wants to access the website, so the front door will be intelligent enough to transfer all the traffic to the US uh, based application gateway. If the user is from Australia, then the front door is capable enough to transfer the traffic from the front door to the application gateway, which is in Australia, right? And if it is in Japan, it will go to Japan, right? So subsequently, this is how it works. And in the background, all the traffic would be redirected to the individual virtual machines, right? So we have virtual machines one, two, and three, right? And then the traffic is moving from here to here or here, right? So this is how things are connected. This is what my scenario is, right? So this is users, this is front door, this is application gateway, and then we have the VMs. So what I have done is I have used the same application gateway, okay, and I have put in the front door in front of it. And I'll just show you how I did. So this is so in front door we create origin groups, right? So don't go into the nomenclature about it, but the thing is, whatever we are doing the same, right? We are for every load balancer, we are creating a user. I mean, we are creating a front end IP. It would attach to a load balancer. There would be rules. There would be redirections. This is what we do in front door also, right? So in front door, if we go into origin groups, so this is the domains, these are the rule set. As I said you that there would be rules that you would be creating in origin groups. If you could see this, I'll just go into the origin groups, and this is my application gateway URL, right? So what I've done is I've added an origin. So my backend would be the VMs. It can be a VM, it can be a storage account, it can be a database. If you could see this, I'll just show you. If I'm adding an origin, so these are the types, right? It can be a storage account, it can be a static website, right? So you can redirect the traffic to a static website also. So this is where you would add, so you can say it endpoint, you can say it a backend pool, whatever, right? So depending upon the load balancer, the name changes, right? So here we call it as origin. So what is the origins? It can be a storage account, it can be a cloud service, which is the old VMs that we used to have in our old times in Azure. We can have an app service, we can have static web apps, we can have a public IP. So you can also redirect the traffic from Azure Front Door to your on-prem servers, right? So whatever, if it can be a container instance, it can be a container apps, or it can be a custom, right? So you can transfer, you can redirect. So your endpoint can be anything, right? So what I selected was I selected app gateway, and so I selected this one, and then obviously it gave me a public or private. So I redirected to a public. If I want to redirect to private, I can do that as well. So it gives me a private IP, right? So this is how I added it. Let me go back. So this is what I did. So if I only had one application gateway, so I added that. But if my applications are multiple in different regions, so this is where we would select it, and this is where you would be giving a priority and a weightage, right? So depending upon the priority, it'll hit that, and depending upon the weightage, you can also define, right? If you have a DR scenario where your application gateway is, I mean, the endpoint is down, right? So it gives the probe, it checks the health probe, it see if the endpoint is healthy or not. If it is not healthy, it does not redirect the traffic, right? So you can add multiple origin groups here, and then you can your app will simply work. So this is what the rule set I've done. Let me go into the rules and let's see. So everything happens in the front door manager. I wanted to show you origin groups and rule set before I go to the front end front door manager, right? So rule set is nothing but the rules that we select, right, to redirect your traffic. So here, anything which is going to the URL of the front door, the action would be to redirect the traffic to the application gateway, right? So it can be different, right? Rules can be different. You can select whatever rules you want to select. This is where we can go with the security policy. This is the WAF policy which is associated with the origin, right? So we usually have this. It can work without this as well, but you don't want to do that. The security team will definitely ask questions if you do that, because this application would be public facing, right? So you don't want your public facing application without a firewall. So there has to be some sort of a firewall where it would be there would be security checks in place, right? So you want that. Now let's go back to the front door and see what configurations I did in terms of this particular origin, right? So this is the URL, okay? This is the URL of your app, your front door. So if you have already bought a domain, right? So if your app and you want the redirection to happen, so this is what you would be giving to the networking engineer to redirect the traffic to, right? So if you have uh, any domain, for example, whatever I have just mentioned, CI web, right? So if you have a domain called ciweb.com, so you should be going and giving this details to them, to the network engineer, and they would be configuring the details, right? So let me just show you the how it looks in the front door manager. So these are the default routes. So this is your domain, this is your origin groups, your route is enabled, and this is the security policy, the WAF policy that is attached to it. I have only enabled HTTP. I'm not using HTTPS. This is just a demo, right? I don't have a SSL certificate to show each and everything, but yeah. So this is where we can select HTTP, HTTPS. This is the endpoint, and this is the domain, right? And this is the rule set which we select. Once we have this rule set, so the traffic would be redirecting from the front door to the backend application gateway, and then the traffic would be moving to the VM. The underlying VM would be responding to your query, right? So let's see if it is working. So this is the front door, and let me type in the front door URL. So yeah, if it's random again, right? I have not mentioned anything after the URL, right? So again, we'll go into the in private mode and hope it'll go to videos this time. Yep, it is going to the videos. And again, the only difference between a normal load balancer and a application gateway and a front door is that it will not going to show me the error, right? Which I showed you earlier, because it will redirect the traffic. So videos, yep, it is going to videos. If I type in after videos, I think it's Dave. Nope. After videos, it's Hariche, right? So let me just type in there. Yep. So it is moving towards. So this is the public IP of the application gateway. That's why it's not giving me the URL of application gateway. It should be giving that, but I tried it a couple of times, so it has cached. Yeah. So let me go and type in image. And let's see what happens. Yeah, images. So it is redirecting me to images now. It is not giving me a error message, right? Because it is intelligent enough to route the traffic to a different endpoint. I go here, type in Dave, just thinking, yep. So it is basically going from the front door URL to the application gateway URL, and then it is hitting the servers in the background into the image folder, into the dev folder. So this is how your applications are configured, and your web developers, you, we give them the access and they put in their applications, right? So the admin part. So this is the admin part which you should be knowing before we implement these kind of things, right? So this is how it's done. So if you found this useful, so please like, share, and comment, and do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Thank you very much.